The doctrine of hell is an important part of the religion of Islam, and it is seen as the final punishment, and Muslims should avoid it at all costs. So in this episode, we're going to be exploring 10 things that would protect you from hell according to Islamic belief. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and now Muslims believe that Allah is merciful, so in the end, it's really up to him to decide who is punished by hellfire. But these things that I'm going to bring up in this episode are some beneficial things that Muslims believe will safeguard somebody from hell. So with that said, let's just jump into this episode, starting with number 10, and that's believing in Allah and his messenger. This, by the way, is the first pillar of Islam, and it's believed that this is the first step that a Muslim should take to prevent themselves from hellfire, also known as Jahannam. As a matter of fact, according to the hadith that Ubadah ibn Samit narrated, he says that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: "Whoever witnesses that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, Allah forbids the fire from touching him." Next up, at number 9, we have fasting. Now, fasting is also a source of protection from hellfire, and it's reported by Jabir ibn Abdullah that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: "Allah the Exalted says, fasting is a shield with which one may protect oneself from the fire." There is also another hadith by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri that says this: "Whoever fasts for one day when he is engaged in jihad for the sake of Allah, Allah will remove him 70 years distance from the fire." And speaking of that, that actually brings us to our next point. So fearing Allah and jihad for his sake is also protection from the fire of hell. There's one passage in the Quran that says this: "But for him who fears the standing before his Lord, there will be 2 gardens in paradise." That's found in the Quran, Surah 55 verses 46. Also, it's reported that the Prophet Muhammad said these following words: "No one who weeps out of fear of Allah will enter hell until the milk goes back into the breast, and a man will never have both the dust from fighting in the way of Allah and the smoke of hell." To reinforce this point, Muslims also look at a hadith by Abu Abs, and that specific hadith says, "No 2 feet that get dusty for the sake of Allah will ever be touched by the fire." Al-Istighfar comes in at number 7, and now this means to seek forgiveness, which in reality is a form of dua, which is a prayer of supplication to Allah. Now, it's believed that it can erase all the bad deeds that somebody has done, and specifically in the Quran, Surah 39 verses 53, check out what it says: "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves by sinning, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, it is He who is the forgiving, the merciful." Number 6 brings us Taubah. Now, Taubah refers to a state of mind, specifically the state of mind of regret. So if you feel guilty, you need to make Taubah according to Muslim teaching. In the Quran, there's a whole surah, as a matter of fact, called Taubah, and it's Surah 9. And in the specific verse, number 11, this is what it says: "But if they repent, establish prayer, give zakah, then they are your brothers in religion." And we detail the verses for people who know. And you know, guys, on that note, since we are talking about hell and the belief of hell in Islam, we actually did a video about 10 surprising facts about hell in Islam. Definitely, I don't want you to miss that video, so I'll have the link below to it in the video description section, so definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. We've also talked about scary supernatural beliefs in Islam. That link is below as well to that video. But if you have seen those videos, we do have a playlist that's filled with episodes about different religions and cultures from different parts of the world, so I'll link to that as well. We post videos daily, so every single day there's always something new to learn here on FTD Facts. Alright, enough self-promotion. Let's get back into this episode. At fact number 5, let's talk about good deeds. Good deeds apparently atone for evil deeds. Now, over in the Quran, if you look in Surah 11 verses 114, this is what it says: "And establish prayer at the 2 ends of the day and at the approach of the night. Indeed, good deeds do away with misdeeds. That is a reminder for those who remember." But it's not just good deeds, there's also good deeds for the dead. So some Muslim communities hold the view that good deeds gifted to the deceased people by the living people is also considered a way of protection from hell. So for example, charitable giving, as well as performing a Hajj and fasting that is done on a person's behalf after they passed away, that can actually help that person not experience hellfire. According to the hadith, Sahih Sahih Muslim 1631, the Prophet Muhammad is believed to have said these words: "Whenever the son of Adam dies and all his deeds are cut off except from the sources, recurring charity, beneficial knowledge, or a righteous child that makes dua for him." Being patient is also a huge one, especially during the time of testing and calamity. Muslims believe that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: "When Allah wills good for his servant, he hastens the punishment for him in this world. And when Allah wills ill for his servant, he withholds the punishment for his sins from him until he comes with all his sins on the day of resurrection." And that's narrated by Al-Tirmidhi 2396. Next up at number 2, reciting the Quran as it's narrated by Al-Albani. He said that the Messenger of Allah said, "Read the Quran, for it will come as an intercessor for its reciters on the day of resurrection. Fasting and the Quran will intercede for the person on the day of resurrection. Fasting will say, 'O Lord, I kept him from his food and desires during the day. Let me intercede for him.' And the Quran will say, 'I kept him from sleeping during the night. Let me intercede for him.' And they will both be allowed to intercede." Obviously, that's a lot of symbolic language, but you get the idea. And finally, we reach to number 1 in this episode, and that is charity. According to the Quran, Surah 2, verses 254, this is what it says: "O you who have believed, spend from that which we have provided for you before there comes a day in which there is no exchange and no friendship and no intercession. And the disbelievers, they are the wrongdoers." Also, it's reported that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: "Protect yourselves from the fire, even if with 1/2 of a date, and he who hasn't got even this should do so by saying a good, pleasant word." And also, speaking on this point, it's also narrated by Abu Hurairah that the Prophet Muhammad said this: "There is no day on which the people get up, but 2 angels come down, and one of them says, 'O Allah, give in compensation to the one who spends in charity,' and the other says, 'O Allah, destroy the one who withholds.'" Alright guys, so that was a brief look at 10 things that protect you from hellfire according to the religion of Islam. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you really gained some understanding on this perspective of hell and what you can do to avoid it. Again, regardless of if you believe this or not, I hope you enjoyed this episode. That's what we do here on FTD Facts. We like to talk about the different countries, cultures, and religion and people from all around the world so that we can gain a better understanding of each other. Don't forget to check out the recommended episodes that I talked about. Those links are below in the video description section as well. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode.